Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, welcome to this very special episode of Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, we're just a couple of days shy of celebrating India's 72nd Independence Day, and while we do know that India has been shining across various sectors on the world map, today we will be bringing you the story of two of the fastest Indians who are leaving their tire prints across the globe. Let's start with someone who is known as a multiple Indian National Rally champion, also known as someone who's won the Asia Pacific Rally Championship 3 times and today holds the distinction of being the first Indian to set foot on the World Rally Championship stage. Let's talk to Gaurav Gill. Lucky enough to be a spectator at any of the National Rally Championship rounds in the country for the past decade, you'd agree without a doubt that Gaurav Gill is by far the most fearless and most fun rally driver to watch on any given rally weekend. He's every photographer and cameraman's delight. Not because he's trying to please us or give us the perfect shot, it's simply because that's just what he's made of. His accomplishments till date speak volumes of his caliber as a rally driver. Be it as a 5-time Indian National Rally Champion, a 3-time Asia Pacific Rally Champion, or as the first Indian with a real shot at making a mark in the highest echelon of rallying, the World Rally Championship.
I come from a family of sportsmen, and my uncles and my cousins, they were all into driving race cars and rally cars at a very young age. So I always saw rally cars and race cars around the house. So I think it was a natural progression for me as a kid to go and sit in rally cars and to obviously drive one. So I started driving at a very early age. I think while I was growing up, a big part of me getting involved in motorsport was video games. Video games were the new thing then, and a lot of the time we used to end up playing PlayStation, Colin McRae rally games, and that would just excite us and my friends, you know, to go out and actually drive on gravels. The Colin McRae game actually taught me a lot of stuff about rallying. It was a great game, and it was something that me and my friends used to play for up to 12 hours, 10 hours a day. I don't think there's any championship that I haven't won. I think I've won pretty much all the championships, whether it's racing, rallying, or racing or rallying, yes. I have already tried being a motocross or a bike race rider. I've done powerboat racing. I've done racing, Formula cars. I think the only thing left is probably the air race, the Red Bull air race. I have won the INRC 5 times, and we're again leading this year. I'm always motivated because it's not how many times you win, it's all about learning, and you never stop learning. So the attitude is that you basically never stop learning, and I'm getting faster and faster. So I enjoy every moment of it, even today, and I take it up as a challenge, not to compete with others but to compete with myself. And rallying is all about arriving to the end and controlled aggression, and there's so many factors that you need to keep developing within yourself. So I think that's the motivation factor. I've been in the APRC for almost 10 years, and I started getting a full season drive after maybe 2010.
Kaido has always been Gill's Achilles heel.
2009 and 10 onwards, with a proper car, with a proper factory backup, with MRF tires, and being considered as one of the drivers to win the championships. I've learned lots over there, with engineers, the driving, the terrain, with co-drivers, and with senior drivers is something that I always looked up to. It's been an amazing journey in the Asia Pacific. It's one of the toughest championships in the world. Although it's a 6-round or a 7-round championship, it's not like a WRC where you have 15 rallies. But it's one of the most difficult ones because each rally is so different from each other. Countries like Malaysia, where the cabin temperature exceeds 60 to 65 degrees sometimes, and you lose up to 7 to 10 kilos of water weight on your body in 2 days of driving. from there to, you know, going to New Zealand where the average speeds are over 120 kilometers an hour on super fast gravel roads. So it's an amazing championship. I've learned so much with you know, top European and drivers from across the world who are actually winning world championships, and to compete against them on that platform was something that I would you know, thank my team for. Well, motorsport is not a very popular sport in this country because it's considered to be you know, a sport only for the people who have a lot of money or big corporates, but which is absolutely true, because you need a lot of money to survive in this kind of a sport. And I've been lucky enough to have the, you know, the right attitude and the sponsors to back me up, and I've proven obviously that you know, we can as Indians be as strong as the other drivers or other competitors around the world, or even the best in the world. I've spent almost 11 years with MRF now, and you know, they are obviously the pioneers in the sport, motorsport in the country, and they are very passionate about the sport. So they wanted to see, and it was their dream to be one of the tire manufacturers in the, you know, world championship, and what better way to, you know, prove their product in one of the most difficult platforms the sport has to offer in the world. So our primary goal this year is to have a lot of development and register for 2019 in the World Championship. And hopefully once we register, it will be the first Indian tire company to register for the World Championship, which will be again another, you know, amazing feat.
Don't cut, 3 plus right, open.
I'm very proud of the fact that, you know, I'm the only Indian to represent Team MRF and drive the Ford Fiesta in the World Championship. It's an amazing feeling, you know, to come here and do this, and especially in Finland a few weeks ago. It was one of the best rallies of the world. It's considered to be one of the most difficult rallies, and we did some really good stage times there. It was a very, you know, it was an amazing performance. It was something that we were really expecting, and I think it's a great start to the championship this year for us. The ultimate goal for me and my career would definitely be to win the World Championship and try and win as many rallies as I can. It's been a very you know, difficult time because you know, the top drivers around the world do up to 20-25 rallies a year, and I only get about 5 to 6 rallies a year to drive. So it's a lot less seat time, but no complaints. You know, this is what I have, so I'm going to make the most of it. It's amazing to see you know, that my rally car is available online as a scale model. And to see that the other top drivers around the world have also, obviously, that's what, when we were growing up, that's what we saw, where, you know, we used to collect model cars from of the other drivers, and today to be right there and be, you know, be one of them is absolutely special.
Well, the remainder of 2018 and a couple of rallies is what Gaurav Gill will be getting to learn the ropes of WRC in the WRC2 category. Next year, he will be competitively racing against the world's best in the World Rally Championship 2 category. You can follow all our updates on Twitter as well as the Overdrive website. We will be bringing them to you as and when the rallies happen. Time for us to take our first break here on the show, but do come right back, because on the other side we will be catching up with India's fastest rally rider on 2 wheels. Now up next, there's a story from someone who is an out-and-out adrenaline junkie. He is someone who recently told me that he didn't know how to describe himself when he is not on 2 wheels. He is someone who is known as a multiple Supercross champion, also won Raid the Himalaya in his maiden year, and now he holds the distinction of running in the Dakar Rally competitively for the past 4 years. He is piloting Hero MotoCorp's rally bike and today has the burning desire to finish in the top 10. Let's meet CS Santosh. How many of us truly know what our purpose in life is? How many of us truly actualize that dream into a reality? How many of us dare to dream but with our eyes open? Grit, determination, insane level of optimism and sharp skills is what separates the boys from actual men. It's what separates the dreamer from an achiever. It's what makes a hero out of a passionate rider.
Most men would think that they're invincible on a motorcycle, especially when you're going fast. It's because that's how you feel. You just feel like everything's in that moment and you just feel so alive, and you can feel the ground that you're on, the wheel, how much traction it has, the wind. everything is just that whole experience. It's so immersing that you don't really think about anything else in life, and it's just at one moment. Logic doesn't even come into play. So yes, I think we're invincible when we're racing our motorcycles. When I got a motorcycle and I was better than my friends, you know, I was like, yeah, we used to go out the Palace ground and just ride in the tracks there, or go on to some private properties and then go and ride the dirt tracks, and I was better than all my friends. And then I said, you know, you feel good because you're better than the people that you're competing with. But then I said, this is not enough. So I found a competition to go out and compete, and that's how it started. Like first it was a small competition, and then it was a national championship. The drive was always try and be the best that you could be. Think about this sport, and people say that it's a dangerous sport. I don't really think it's a dangerous sport, you know. Yes, you can get hurt. It's not like playing a ball sport. You know, every time I throw my leg around a motorcycle, I know that I could get seriously hurt, but it's not something that I think about. I know it in hindsight. Now when I sit and think about it, yes, I acknowledge that, but it's not something that that sways my decision to go racing. I think life in general is dangerous. Anything can happen at any point in time. Nothing is guaranteed in life. Only thing is that once you're born, you're sure to know that you're going to die at some point in time. And in this short span, in this life that you have, you make the most of it. And for me, motorcycle racing is where I can experience life to the fullest. Well, I've had a couple of crashes, and not that many, but I've had a couple of crashes, and I've been unfortunate at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge because I was on fire. The thing about motorcycle racing is not that if you're going to crash, it's only a matter of when it's going to happen. I think the people that are really affected, apart from me, is the people that really love you, your family and friends. And yeah, but I think now at this point in my life, they accept who I am, and this is what I do, and comes with that territory, you know. Well, I knew I was the best in India, but I knew that I was the big fish in a small pond, and I knew the world is much bigger than this. And also the fact that motorsport wasn't really big in India, I knew the best riders of course from Europe and in America. So I wanted to go and compete and see where I stand. So my first step was to go and be competitive in Asia. So that's why I went and did the motocross championship in Asia, you know.
Doesn't look like it because they're now in the last lap, and only a miracle can now turn the tables. There's number 22, Santosh CS leading the race and now moving towards the tabletop to finish the race.
But those 10 years that I did racing in India, in supercross, dirt track, all of that, I never even thought in my head that I would want to do, first of all, rallying or even the Dakar, because we used to have a rally team in the team at TVS, and I used to think these guys are crazy. Like, why would I want to go out and race roads that you don't even know on? You know, I thought it was just a bit too dangerous. So I always stuck to supercross. Towards the end of my career racing supercross, I got a bit stagnant and I was bored, and I wanted a little bit of challenge. So I think that's how I did my first raid the Himalaya, because I'd done everything else in India, and I said, this is the only thing that's left. So I did the raid, and after that did the raid was when there was talk about the Dakar. Until then, there was never really talk about anything. I've come a long way. I forget sometimes the things that I had to do to go through to be actually sitting here and having that opportunity to compete at the Dakar. Being the first one, I think it's never easy, but I think it's also a great opportunity for me. I've learned so much in my journey, from just being somebody who used to just race competitions to actually going out and finding a way to make the biggest race in the world, you know, and finding sponsorships, meeting people. It's been a fantastic journey for me, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. Setting goals is important, and having targets to achieve is important. It gives you direction to work at. But I've noticed over the years that it's not just about taking home those trophies or achieving what you set out to do. It's that journey from when you set your mind to doing something to actually achieving it is what you actually take back home. That's what actually gives you fulfillment in life. So I love that experience of chasing my dreams and goals, but I also enjoy the experience of getting there. I just want to be known as the guy that lived his life on his own terms, and I just want to know that I got the most out of my life. You know, that the experiences that I have, the relationships that I have is something that I want to leave behind when I go. And obviously I hope there is some sort of a legacy, because, you know, in terms of when I was growing up as a kid, I was fascinated by history books. And that fascination is only because I saw all these great men that left behind something and contributed to society. So I wish at the end of my time, I've done those things as well.
Next week, CS Santosh and some off-road buffs will be competing in the Indian Baja, which of course is the Indian franchise of the Dakar Rally, which, like we mentioned, is the toughest cross-country rally in the world. The dates are 17th to 19th August, don't forget, and we will be bringing you all the updates on Twitter as well as the Overdrive website, so follow us then. Now, Benelli is making a comeback into India with Hyderabad-based Adishwar Auto Ride International, which is a subsidiary of Mahavir Group. Now, they have a very aggressive approach and a long-ranging product plan. Let's have a listen.
In terms of products, clearly, globally, we are expanding the base of engines. And we are now leading the 500cc displacement in especially European and Asian markets. We think we need to continue in this direction also in India, because there is a big number of users come from the small displacement to the mid and high displacement, which they don't have the real affordable offer in a good range of performance. So Benelli is very competitive in that point, and we think this is the main products that we want to first make Benelli clear leader in the market. The first thing to do is to immediately supply the network that we had in the past. I think you know clearly that we have in the past around 20 dealers, which around 18 to 19 will continue working with us. So the first the first priority is to supply them for motorcycles. So now we are working hard to keep the mainstream models that we think is the good models in the market, TNT 300, TNT 600i and 302R in the sports segment, which we are going to make a modification in the TNT line very soon. The first one is the TNT 300. It will call the Tornado Naked Twin Sport, which is an update, a facelift for the current TNT 300. Why a facelift? Because we are working now in the new engine platform for this 300 segment, possibly go to 400cc and a dot with some much more high electrical components and new configuration. So we don't want to be so hurry in the 300 segment. The first two new models that we are going to come more aggressive is in the 500cc, where we are going to launch in both the versions on road and on off, Leoncino and TRK. There is where we think is our main priority for 2019, and we will do everything to try to arrive to October with the new bikes. But well, this depends also to all the different activities that we have to do. Not in the first step. First, we want to make a good base for the two-cylinder, and then we are going to evaluate what is the best combination for the single cylinder in India. We think this is a very important segment, very big, which we don't subestimate our competitors. So what we are thinking is perhaps in a second step the best option, because as you know, we already presented two-spoke and three-spoke single-cylinder engine, which we are still improving and doing with more performance. Now we have an immediately assembly plant coming. We hope in October we start the assembly process. This is the first step. The second step is that what we are evaluating now is if it's India our base for R&D, which we think it is, and in the Second phase also integration of the parts, which we can make the cost effective, much more competitive, no, in the market. We have a project to realize the first integration in the next 12 to 18 months. That means we are going to try to produce here one of the first models that we made for Indian market, which is Imperiale 400 and 530. But we will need a lot of support from the supply chain and manufacturers also that we have in our facilities in China and Italy. So we will need to find also the opportunity to bring with us other manufacturers and invite all the manufacturers from India to also come to us to start the discussion in terms of investment and part development. Uh, 60 dealers in the next 2 years.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of this week's episode of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. And you can follow our latest updates on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and many thanks for watching.